Good morning, everyone. I have to share my new coffee cup. It says breakfast wine. That's how I'm feeling. It's Friday, and my microphone is not on. There we go. Good morning, Jenny. How are you doing? I come with a disclaimer this morning. I had EMDR yesterday, and I feel like I'm in a bit of a fog still. So, and I'm curious to know how many of you do EMDR and if you have found it to be helpful. Let's see. Good morning, Jody from New York and Jenny from Oklahoma. Without going into too many details, because I don't like giving anyone from my ex-husband's family a feed. Good morning, Lily from Florida. I got served this week, and it's a huge trigger for me. And I know for many of you too, because I talk to my clients, and it's just this violation of my peaceful space, of my life. It is just so triggering. And so that happened I got served, I think, on Wednesday. And having to do with my ex-husband's family and a criminal trial. Boy, did it spin me. And then I did EMDR yesterday, and I've started with a new therapist. And I'll tell you a brief. I tried EMDR once before, about 2 or 3 years ago, with a local therapist in town. And I should have listened to my gut. It's that ongoing lesson that we continue to learn about listening to our instincts. And I did not have a great feeling about my relationship with her right away. And I continued to push myself, but I almost felt like she saw it as like gossip, like whatever I had to bring. And it was just a weird feeling. And I did 5 EMDR sessions with her, and they were helpful. But then on the 5th session, she said to me, he loves them in his own way. And talk about, first of all, lack of education on sociopaths or narcissists or whatever you're dealing with. Good morning, Gigi. Good morning, Kim. So this therapist said to me 2 years ago, he loves them in his own way. And I just found myself so triggered and looking at her going, how can you say that? And as knowledgeable as I am on this topic, for someone who is just starting out on this path to hear something like that, such a disservice to survivors, because a narcissist, a sociopath, that's not love. They're not capable of loving a child other than as a possession, as an extension of themselves. And that's where I struggle with that message that, people will say, well, tell them he loves them in his own way. Well, you're telling your child that abuse is a form of love. And so what are we setting them up for if we do that? So I switched EMDR. Well, I stopped going to that EMDR therapist, and I just restarted with a beautiful human and who is very, very trauma informed. And I did EMDR yesterday. And it was a very, very powerful experience. And I still feel in somewhat of a fog. So that is my fine print disclaimer this morning. In addition to that, I have to do my normal disclaimer. I am not an attorney. I am not qualified to give you legal advice. We're a community of survivors who come together and talk about the narcissist and the family court system. I'm also not a therapist, nor would I want to do that work. I love what I do, and I'm very big on staying in my lane. So some of the topics that have come up today. Number one, somebody wrote in and asked, I am on the verge of filing for divorce. I'm concerned that my husband will beat me to filing. My attorney says that's not a concern. Do you think it's a valid concern? Let's see. I want to read what Gigi says. I hear you. However, I say my ex loves his children to the best of his capability. It's not something he has a healthy capacity for, a cognitive inability. Yes, not healthy to model. Exactly. So I would love to hear everyone's thoughts and experiences when it comes to filing first. I have kind of an ironic story about that. When my ex-husband and I were doing a nesting agreement back in 2009, and I went away to Orange County, California to see my sister for the weekend. And when I was gone, he completely, well, we hadn't filed for divorce yet. We were kind of talking about, do we file right now? I have health concerns, and so staying on his insurance until we figure things out, blah, blah, blah. I went away to Orange County for the weekend, and he literally had his family members and moving trucks ready. Pretty much from what I've been told, the second I pulled out of the driveway, they started loading up all of my possessions, my furniture, my belongings, my pictures of my kids, my videos, and he basically gutted my house and replaced it with a bunch of really cheap, weird things. That weekend, court was closed. It was a 3-day weekend. Court was closed on Monday. And so Monday night, I prepared myself. I'm going in Tuesday morning. I'm going to file for divorce. This is sheer insanity. I can't do this. And I got to the court, and he was 3 people in front of me in line, and he didn't see me. So I stayed in line, just wide-eyed in shock, because everything I owned was gone. I'm sure I was in shock, actually. And I'm watching him at the glass window talking to the clerk, and he's telling her that I had been cheating on him for, first of all, it's a no-fault state. So even if that was true, which it wasn't, that's just, it's crazy. So he's holding up this photo up against the glass of me with a friend, and he had just taken it off my Facebook page, telling her, this poor lady, that I had been cheating on him. He's manic. He's in this weird, he's high off of what he had just done that weekend. And I just remember just frozen, standing there watching this unfold. And then he gets the paperwork, and she's just looking at him like, you're a lunatic. And he leaves to go past me, and we make eye contact, and he was just, it caught him off guard too. By the time I get up to the window, I say to them, that man a few in front of me is my husband. And so it sounds like he already got the paperwork. And the lady looked at me and she said, do you want a restraining order packet? And I was like, yes, I probably need one of those. He did end up filing before I did. And the way I see it, and it could be different in every state, and obviously this falls into the legal category. A lot of attorneys tell people it doesn't matter who files first. And in a lot of ways, I believe that to be true. I wish I would have filed first, because what I found out, I think you get to set the stage of what has happened. You get to paint the picture. And then in California, they're able to file a response and then you get to file a response to their response, a responsive declaration, and then it stops at that point. So you kind of get to set the stage, and then you get the last word in a lot of ways. And so for me personally, I would have preferred to be the one to file first. But I'm curious to know how in other states that plays out. Jenny says, I think filing first is important only because you get the first say in what you want, even though they answer. Exactly. It's those things that, because they're going to mirror a lot of what you say. Or if you claim abuse, they're going to muddy the water. I would rather lead with my truth and put it all out there, and that be our foundation and our starting point. Gigi says you also start the trial and end the trial if you file first. Yes. So I do. For that reason, I do think it's important. But it's not the end of the world, as we all can, I survived it and protected my kids. And I don't think, however, it's not fun no matter how it plays out. And it's not a great experience, but it is what it is. And if you can file first, I personally would. So that's my answer. Next question. My ex-husband evades taxes. Do you have any tips for dealing with the IRS or financial abuse? So my ex-husband also fits into that category. A lot of people will criticize me and say, why don't you move on? Stop talking about your ex-husband. When I'm doing this or writing about things, he doesn't, 9 times out of 10, does not factor into the equation. I am talking about toxic humans in general, whether they're narcissists, sociopaths, just people who love conflict. My ex-husband really doesn't factor in. Right now he does, because I just got served this week. So his family is more prevalent in my mind space than normal. But here's another example where I can share personal experience. My ex-husband actually admits on all of his income and expense declarations that he has not filed taxes since 2009 when we were married. And he has even submitted payroll stubs that show with his employer, he claims 99 exemptions, so they don't take any taxes out. He at certain times has also worked 3 very well-paying jobs, so he's probably making on some months $25,000 a month and not paying taxes on that. So definitely in the 6-figure category, even on a bad year, but he's not paying taxes. I've personally reached out to the IRS, sent them pictures of the mini mansion he lived in San Francisco, what I know of his lifestyle, paying cash for a brand new Lexus, those types of things. And to my knowledge, they've never caught up with him. I will say you do want to be careful if you are going to go that route, because I have seen it backfire on people. When people report their ex to the IRS or franchise tax board or whatever, Gigi says the IRS will hold them accountable. I didn't find that. Maybe he has been behind the scenes and I'm not aware, but but I'm curious to know what your experience has been like on that, because Gigi says taxes. Hire a reputable CPA tax attorney to file your taxes by the letter of the law. Inform the tax person that you may need them to testify and that their documentation must be impeccable. And I didn't go that route with trying to hold him financially responsible, so that may be the difference. But I have seen it through clients where they're actually reprimanded in family court for filing with the IRS to turn their ex in because you're seen as, again, I'm in a fog from EMDR yesterday, you're seen as vengeful. And when you do things like that, it can affect your children if their other parent goes to jail or whatnot. So just consult your attorney before you go that route, because I have seen people where it backfires on them, where you feel like you're doing the right thing because these people think they're above the law and they don't have to pay taxes like the rest of us do. People are asking, Jackie and Randy, what were you served for? Some of you know my, I'm not going to go into details, but my ex-husband's brother is starting a criminal trial here very shortly. It's been 5 years in the making, and the pedophile, had me subpoenaed yesterday, and it was really triggering because he wasn't supposed to. We have a restraining order, and I don't think it's going to make the judge happy because they could have served through our attorney. But yeah, it's kind of set me spinning this week. So okay, next question. What type of 50-50 schedule do you think is best? 7 days on, 7 days off, 2-2-3, or 2-2-5 schedule? That is, I think every single person here would have a different answer. For one, I am a very vocal advocate that even with 2 healthy parents, I do not agree with 50-50 at all. I think it's horrible for children. I think that children need a home base and somewhere to come home to every day that is consistent after school. I have a huge issue with these 50-50 bills, and anytime I see one coming up in a state, I try to rally the troops and get them to be very vocal advocates against these 50-50 bills, because thank you, Lynn. So, for me, but, the reality is a lot of us are forced into 50-50. So then breaking it down from there, what do we think is best for a child? I don't have the answers on that. I think it's really specific to your child, to their age, to your family situation. I know that the 2-2-3 schedules are very difficult because your child never for younger children, you have to do, my opinion, you would have to do the 2-2-3 type schedule. I think 5 days or 7 days away from the primary parent, under the age of 6 would be traumatic. I know what 4 days away from me did to my littlest one, who is now taller than me now, which is crazy. But at the younger age, I think this is something for us to all unpack together because it's an important topic. 2-2-3 at a young age is important because you have that constant check-in with your child. But what so many of us realize is that you get your child back, it takes 24 to 48 hours to get them reset and back out of that catatonic stage or that just defiance or whatever it is for you. They're unregulated. They're not sleeping well because the other parent lets them stay up till midnight on an iPad, or, they're just plied with sweets and no rules or whatever it is. It takes a while to reset, and then you get right back on that roller coaster. So you never get that sense of peace and normalcy when you're in those 2-2-3 schedules. The 2-2-5 is a little better on the 5 days because, you still get that constant check-in, but the 5 days at least gives you you know, you get back to baseline, you get back to a sense of normalcy, but then it starts all over again. I think for older children, the 7 days on, 7 days off can, you know, if you're forced into a 50-50, you know, that would probably be my preference for kids once they're middle school, high school, because at least they're in one stable place for a week at a time before that's turned upside down. And you are able to enjoy, you know, get them regulated and enjoy some peace and actual bonding with them instead of doing damage control constantly, because that ends up being the mode you're in when you're on those shorter duration schedules. So, you know, that's my 2 cents. 225 is great for the healthy parent when the kids are there, but sucks for the kid. Right. So, you know, everybody has different experiences, you know, different personalities of children. There's a lot of children who just don't do well with change. There's the majority of children who don't do well being pulled away from their primary caregiver because that's unnatural. It's unhealthy for them. But we are forced into these things. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. There's a lot of great information going on here. I did want to say, if you are needing one of our online courses from OMB, later today, we're going to have a code set up just for YouTube, and it'll be 20% off of any of the online courses. Whether you need to learn strategic communication, documentation, it'll help you set up an entire system. Mediation with a narcissist, a lot of people say that's a waste of time. I don't completely agree with that. I think it depends on what your expectations are going into that. And then the most important one, which in my opinion, you know, regardless of where you are in your case, is safeguarding against alienation claims, because it talks about our presentation. And I think that we often give the narcissist or the sociopath too much power over us, to where we know who we are, who they are. We're trying so desperate to try to show everybody who they are, that we don't present well. And so that course talks a lot about our presentation, how we show up and be our authentic selves and present well to the court. So again, that will be active later this afternoon. The code is OMB for One Mom's Battle, YT for YouTube 20. So OMBYT 20. And you'll be able to save 20% off of any of the online courses. You'll just go to the One Mom's Battle website and click online courses. Thank you all for joining me today. Happy Friday. I've got a really busy month. My youngest daughter turns 14 on the 22nd, and my oldest daughter turns 16 on the 19th. And Glenn and I just celebrated our 8-year wedding anniversary this week. And so, yeah, it's a jam-packed month. So yeah, I know there's a lot of April birthdays in general. So, all right, everyone, happy Friday. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.